all Canadian families, we are on the Titanic. The iceberg hasn't hit yet, so we're not sinking. If we don't shift course, that iceberg is coming for us.
I'm not planning on leaving. I'm fighting. We want to make this country incredibly great.
We begin to see that it really isn't about diversity. It is about punishing the people who perform beyond the mean.
For people who don't care, where do you see Canada going?
Oh, it's catastrophic. It is that bad.
What is the carbon tax doing to lower carbon emissions?
Exactly.
I love this country. I was born in this country. I believe in what this country stands for. I believe in its people. I believe as a place opportunity for all to come and live, but the path that we're on is not working, and we are not going to be what we're supposed to be if we continue along this path.
Yeah.
Well, welcome, citizens.
I just wanted to screw you up. Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen.
Did you just mumble right into the... That was the worst intro in the world,
That's
dude.
our first start to 2025. Just thought I'd start it off.
Happy New Year, guys. Jeremy's in the start of the year embarrassingly.
Embarrassingly?
It's the worst word in the
I threw you
world.
off.
It's a day off for everybody, so we're just going to be super fun today. The most fun we've ever been.
Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot believe it's 2025. That's so bizarre.
2025.
Feels like it came so quickly.
I still remember the year 2000.
You do?
Remember that?
No. I remember
Remember
Will
the big,
Smith's album, Y2K.
Yeah, that was the year 2000. Everyone thought...
and I like it. Good song. Such a good song.
It's crazy, man. 2025. Well, we're going to have some fun today as we're all hanging out. Looking forward to awesome things in this year.
Yep.
The best is yet to come, just so you know. We believe
Absolutely. Do you, before we get too far away from Y2K, do you remember how much of a hype that was? About how they thought things were like.
The world was going to shut down.
Do you guys remember thinking that the world was going to end, or like not the world, but like technology, and that they said they didn't know what devices like that was?
It's because all is the zeros on the year 2000 with all the computers they were going to like.
Which is so bizarre. But it was real, man. I was like, "What's going to happen?" And people were waiting to see, and I was freaked out. Like I remember being
there was
like,
a lot of hype for
what
it.
in the world is going on?
Funny
I was
how
12.
we as humans do that over and over and over again.
Yeah, that was
and it just
nuts
doesn't
though.
pan out.
That was real. Anybody at home remember that? I want to hear in your comments. Do you guys remember Y2K, the hype? Are you guys even old enough to be that old? I don't know.
25 years.
Minimum 24 years old.
Yep.
25, I guess.
If you don't know what it is, just chat GPT it
Yeah.
instead of Google it.
Let me ask ChatGPT real quick while you figure out
what
the
was
next
the
thing. I'll look at it.
Y2K event. Anyways, happy New Year, guys. Hope your year's going to be. I know your year's going to be awesome. We're going to continue chatting, pushing to you all the stuff that we see that's going on in our country of Canada. We are definitely going to see some interesting things this upcoming year. So lots to be aware of. It's important to keep our heads up. Important to be able to be informed of what's going on. But we want to take some time today and kind of just reflect on the previous year that we just came out of. I think it's a very important habit to be able to learn and to reflect on things you've gone through, things that's happened in your past year, so that you can progress forward from them. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. So anyways, we're going to reflect on some of the things that's happened on our program the last year. But Jerry, you're smiling over there.
It's so bizarre, but it's the concern was that when the year 2000 arrived, computers would interpret the two zeros as 1900 or not 2000. This small oversight had a potential to wreak havoc on the systems that relied on accurate calculations such as financial, airlines, power grids, governments, and banks. And many believe that Y2K bug, also called the Millennium Bug, would cause catastrophic failures in the critical infrastructure, which was widespread over these areas. Anyway, that's the reason.
None of that happened, right?
Not one single thing. Anyway, more hype, more fear.
But isn't that just the system, the binary system of zeros and ones?
I guess so, yeah. I don't know.
Have you looked into the quantum computing stuff?
Oh my gosh.
Is that
Have
insane?
you seen the new chip?
The reason why I jumped to it because binary and quantum computing is like the next level of computation.
Have you seen this new chip? I know. Have you seen the new chip that Google's created?
I just was listening to it this past week.
It can. Have you seen the calculations it can do?
Yeah.
Let's ask ChatGPT.
And it gets better and better the more it calculates. I actually shouldn't even be talking about it yet because I'm still trying to really.
So ignorant on it. I know.
Yeah, I'm trying to
I'm only
understand
repeating
more before
a
I do
few crazy lines that people have talked about, but it was talking about how like in 5 minutes it can compute what would have normally taken a normal computer some septillion years to do. Septillion.
Yeah.
I don't even know how many.
Yeah.
I can't even tell you how many zeros are on that. 5 minutes.
Yeah. It's like moving from the way I heard a guy describe it, it's like moving from 2D to 3D in terms of how it's computing, because our systems are based off of zeros and ones, right? But then there is this effect in terms of the actual system. I'm not even going to explain it properly. Anyways, it's just it's incredible. I was listening to Chamath on the All In podcast, and one thing he was saying, he was he missed a meeting because he goes I literally went on tilt with this idea that I had to figure out is with the progression of these computers and where they're going, will we be able to crack like unbelievable codes, like the Bitcoin system, the blockchain that is reliant on these things. Yeah. He goes, these computers, like the way that they're progressing is that almost what might take, like you said, a computer years and years and years and years to solve something, to break into something, these things can do it in a matter of like maybe 30 minutes, 45 minutes, a couple hours.
Seconds, though.
So
at those speeds, seconds.
And what that means is it's calculating nonstop, and it is trying so many different ways to crack a very long, complicated code, and it's doing so many of those in instantaneous moments. It's crazy. Again, I feel stupid talking because I've just started trying to get into the last month, and I'm still not at the level where I can articulate.
Yeah, me neither. And exactly. But like, to give you some context, the guy who was discussing what this chip is capable of, like 1 septillion is 1 with 24 zeros behind it. And he was saying multiple septillions of years of computing can be done in 5 minutes. Septillion. So that means, anyway, so the guy was essentially saying, he's like, the havoc this could wreak on passwords, on banking, on systems, on blockchain, it could mine all of the blockchain in a couple seconds. The remaining blockchain of Bitcoin. It's unfathomable what this chip could do. It's crazy. Someday the robots will be running the world.
Totally.
I should not be laughing. That's laughing out of fear. I don't think robots.
But Google's is called Willow, right? That's the name of their computer. It's a state-of-the-art quantum computer. I think they're naming it Willow. I'm just looking it up now.
Why Willow? What does that mean?
The chip can solve complex computational problems in under 5 minutes. Tasks that would take today's fastest supercomputers, what you just said, 10 septillion years.
I know, 10 septillion.
It can do it in under 5. Key features: quantum speed up. Willow's ability to perform computations at unprecedented speeds showcases the potential of quantum computing to tackle problems beyond the reach of classical computers. Error reduction. This is interesting. This is what I was listening to yesterday. A notable achievement with Willow is its capacity to reduce errors exponentially as more qubits are added. So that's basically, it's like 3x3, 5x5, 7x7. They figured out the larger that these chips are working in tandem with each other, the less errors there actually becomes, and it exponentially increases. This addresses a long-standing challenge in quantum computing where increasing qubits typically led to higher error rates, but they've actually reversed it. Potential applications: the capabilities of Willow open doors to practical applications in lots of fields, from drug discovery, efficient battery design, development of new energy solutions, blah, blah, blah. It is unbelievable, the stuff that's going on. So this is Google, what they've done in the last month or so.
We didn't plan on talking about this whatsoever.
No,
but
it's New Year's, guys.
Couldn't ignore it.
Happy New Year's, everybody. Happy New Year's, Willow. But you know what? The thing is, it's interesting that you guys should be aware of, at least because our world is changing fast, and it's going to continue to change faster and faster with the rise of AI, with the rise of quantum computing, with the rise of the applications that these can have in our life, is that we are going to see a lot of change. And I think we do need to be on the up and up to understand and also be able to partake in it, like really.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And I think that's the temptation is to ignore and go to sleep at it because it's just too much sometimes. But
no, press in.
I know, you got to press
in
harder.
Learn it. Be on top of it. Don't become out of date because of maybe your age or you're not interested. No. Stay up on this stuff.
It actually gets easier and easier. I find the more I study, the more the more complex I study, the easier everything gets, and you want to actually learn more and more and more. But for people who feel overwhelmed by everything going on, I'm too, don't listen to that. Get into it, study.
Well, even on a small scale, I don't really use Google anymore. I use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Right? You have AI that will spell everything out for you that you need.
It's the exact same with me. I don't Google anything.
So we had a good year, 2024.
It was an amazing year. It's great.
We're always generally believing that life is good and there's more good than bad. We always try to stay optimistic and positive. But I've had a good year of families and friends and my wife and other loved ones. So there's been a lot of good stuff been going on.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we've had a good year at CTZN. We finally got it up and running off the ground.
Yeah, it has been awesome. I think I was just kind of flipping through our page here, looking at all the stuff that we talked on, like DEI, racism, freedom of speech, leadership overreach, truth exposed, government spending, possible civil war risks for kids. Like
when did we do the possible civil war one? What was that?
Did we avoid civil war? Trump and avoiding civil war.
Okay.
I don't even like.
What was the date on it?
I want to rewatch some of these. That was 4 months ago.
Oh, interesting.
Episode 11.
Oh, that was probably the assassination attempt.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
That's what that was.
What in the world? Hey,
Is this crazy looking now in 2025, the stuff that transpired in 2024? Think of how many ways Trump was, he was tried to be taken out.
Yeah.
Right? Economically, you look at the judicial system, justice system, you look at trying to kill him
endlessly
with a bullet grazing his head.
Yep. Twice.
Insane to see that journey and that path that he went on. That episode that you said DEI with David Haskell, I want to let you guys know, you guys should go back and watch that episode with David Haskell on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Yeah. He is a brilliant professor, PhD, that has done a lot of research and published studies on this.
Yeah, episode 3.
And I think if I remember correctly, the main point of that was that one of the main points was that the idea of DEI to reduce racism actually increased racism. Yeah. Actually helped people look through the lens of racism more than before. That episode is so informative. Go back and check that one out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's exactly that. He's one of the most brilliant men I've ever met. Yeah. And you won't regret watching it. Like, it's unfortunate that it's at the beginning with only 500 views, because that's always what happens at the beginning of any channel. Is the first few shows don't get the views, but that's a brilliant show.
Yo, go back if you haven't watched it. Go back and take a look at that. Comment, let us know, and also let us know you're watching it because you listened to this episode. Yeah. Say David and Jeremy told me to go back and watch. Yeah. There's some that that's one of my favorites actually. That one.
Oh, for sure. There's this year Elon bought X.
Was it this year or last year? I think it was 2023.
I thought it was this year. Was it 2024?
2023, I think.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Let me ask ChatGPT.
Maybe. That's funny. Either way, that we discussed. We did a show, episode 17, about that, to discuss the kind of implications that ended up happening for the States.
It was 2022. It was finalized.
Oh, really? Is that far?
October 2022 for $44 billion.
But this is like probably the most powerful year for it. Maybe that's why it feels like he bought it this year. But because of everything going on in the wake of the mainstream media's attempt to try to swallow Trump up, it became one of the greatest tools of communication.
He, I believe, was absolutely instrumental in saving the free and democratic society in the States from the way that it was going. By having a platform that has that much utility and that much availability, people remember what he did with it? 80% of the people basically got fired. He got rid of all of the algorithms that were squashing certain point of views. That if you thought a certain way, you were not going to shadow ban. People were getting shadow banned all the time. All these things were going on, and he opened up a platform. And you could say he put out a thing maybe a couple weeks ago comparing him to all the other social platforms and say it's actually pretty even in terms of what you have in terms of political spectrum being represented on, which is, I thought, quite interesting. He was. So do we do an episode on that
with Elon? Yeah, we did. It's called The Future of Free Speech. That's right. No More Free Speech. Episode 17. We walked through it all. We talked about the implications in multiple countries. That was a fun episode. I remember doing that one. Made was another one we did. Yeah, that was a huge one and still is a big deal. It's one. It's still kind of leaving its wake in Canada right now. It's pretty wild. Anyway, I feel like I could go back into that one because I've just seen so many
medically assistance
in dying, which is the softest way that they can say it, but it's suicide.
Yeah, and there's I don't know the number off the top of my head, but it's in the thousands of people every year. I even want to say like 13,000 in a year.
It's extremely high.
That are utilizing this. And
if you guys want some knowledge on that, go back through some of these things. If there's some of these topics that you don't know about or can't quickly cite, go back through our channel. Go into the videos and watch some of these. Made is a must watch, especially in Canada. Our numbers are, I want to say they're close to 10x what they are in California, who has a very similar type program to us, but we do things slightly different in our policy with Made. And essentially the biggest difference between California and Canada is that we make people self-administer it themselves, meaning like California makes them self-administer it and they have to mix a concoction and then drink it themselves. And in Canada, the doctor administers it. And in that scenario, when the human being when they're disconnected from it, they're 10 times more likely because they feel like it's a medical procedure being done. And 10 times ish. And
wow.
Please leave some room for discrepancy in my remembering there. But go watch the episode.
It's New Year's Day.
Yeah.
So we're not pulling out all the stops with all the research and information.
No.
Yeah, that is something that needs to be remembered and talked about more. And maybe we'll revisit to see what's happened next year or this year with it, because that's a heavy topic and it's affecting a lot of people. It's highly debated too.
And to give you guys one mini example, like first of all, you have to you can't do this. You can't have a form an opinion from ignorance ever. Never form an opinion from ignorance. Recognize your ignorance and then dig in to become competent. Because like, for example, I just watched a video 2 or 3 days ago about Made, and it made me jump back into Made and just look at the stats and the numbers. But it was this lady calling into a radio show, live radio show, and she was talking about her situation of her life and how difficult it was. And she's got a disability. And so because she has a disability, and the disability is a broad thing that can be very, very broad. Because she's in the disability, category, she can qualify for Made. And so she applied for Made. They set a date for her and something went wrong where they had to reschedule it. It delayed it, and then she completely backtracked it and is so glad that she didn't do it. And so she calls into this radio show to kind of bring awareness to it, going like, guys, I was in a dark place and I thought that I needed this and I didn't do it, and thank God I didn't, and my life is different and I've changed my everything and I've got a bright future and things are great. But in the cloud, I couldn't see past that, and I was like, this is so crazy. Had something not gone wrong in the scheduling, and I'm like, there's so many people that are great, amazing people that deserve to live, and yes, in pain and all sorts of situations. We hopefully can have a great country that can support those things. And
I remember the goalposts are so wide. The qualifications for it, it's just like it's almost like if you're having a hard time, you can apply for this. It's kind of what it's coming down to. So that again, it also comes down to, what do we value? Do we value human life? Do we value trying to give people a chance to help them out with their problems, or is this just a quick solution that we're trying to throw through? Like that's an interesting one to talk about. But one of my other ones that came to mind, one of my favorite episodes we did was with Martin Peltier.
Oh yeah.
Was talking about the financial aspect of Canada and the state of Canada. This was several months ago now, probably 5 months ago.
Yeah.
But he had some unbelievable insights regarding investment in Canada, how important the economic policies are. What state were we in back then? And it actually has gotten worse. I know from the last week or two, we've seen the fall economic statement come out and found out that our deficit has grown even more. He talks about the importance of inflation. I remember he talked about risk.
That was a good show.
There's so much good. If you guys missed that one, Martin Peltier, was it May or June? Do you see it there?
It just tells me how many months.
How many months ago?
5 months ago.
5 months ago. So what is that? Yeah, I think it's like
episode 7.
So July or August, somewhere in there. Episode 7. Go check that out, because that was an awesome episode. I think now more than ever, we need to understand and realize how important fiscal policy is, how important the economic engine of Canada is, and how top down the decisions and the policies that are going through and the direction that's happening, we have to be aware of, so that we don't get ourselves again into the mess that we're currently in. Because guess what? We have to dig ourselves out of the mess that we're in. us citizens, we will have to do that. It's going to be on our backs to pay for it, to figure it out, so our kids and future generations don't have to inherit this burden that's going to be on their shoulders.
And I hope people understand. Who's that?
My wife.
Oh,
My wife's
she
calling.
probably answered then.
She probably wants to
I have a
celebrate
rule with my wife. I answer the phone no matter
on New
what.
Year's Day.
Can you put it to a speakerphone so we can all hear?
I'm not going to answer that. You're just messing with me.
Come on, that would have been so good. I do always answer Stra's call, no matter what. I'm just like, I always make sure. You never know. What were we talking about? Oh, the thing I was going to say was, the temptation to think, I don't know what the generations before me did, or before them, That's pretty good where we're at right now. So what's a little debt? Who cares about inflation? You know what I mean? The ignorant side of it is we're going to pay for it for 2 decades. What does that even mean? I'm living a good life right now. In the wake of all the countries that are around us that are prospering and using their resources and doing everything, it will mean for you in the future, if we don't get our country to a position of strength, it'll mean that vacationing will be extremely hard. Your dollar will be worth next to nothing. That buying and trading stocks will be extremely difficult. You will not be able to invest outside of country because your dollar will be so weak. You buying a home, leaving a legacy, leaving inheritance, all of those things are affected. Like, that's something to think about. Like, if you make the mistake of going, I'm pretty good right now, what's the big deal? You are forfeiting your future. You're forfeiting your children's inheritance. You're forfeiting your buying power. You're forfeiting a solid, strong future if we don't fix our country. And that's something that I don't know if a lot of people have made that connection. I used to be in the camp of, it's pretty good. Figure it out. I'll make more money. It's not just about making more money. It's actually about having a strong foundation here in Canada.
Well, and there's so many other metrics in Canada that is showing when you have weak economics, is you see poverty rate rising. You see more and more people needing to go to food banks. We have housing issues. We have so many. Our basic interesting can't even keep up with what our standard of living was. So anyways, all that to say, it's very important for us to continue to look at this and be on top of it so that we can move on, so that we can have the right people in place to make the right decisions, and that's so we are aware, so that we can have a prosperous economic future. It might take a couple of years to work our way out of this one, but we can build back better, Jer. What was that from again? Build back better.
That's the whole WEF.
WHO thing?
WEF, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe WEF.
Everybody build back better, build back better. It was like, and it was such a coordinated thing. But actually, though, like, if we actually can.
100%.
I'm very optimistic about the future of our country, the resources we have, the potential leadership that could become, and see what this country does shape into be.
Canada has a lot of assets.
It has
a lot of great things that we can build off of.
Like, for the small country we are, we can have a huge impact. Like, considering we're the size of like one of the U.S. states, and we're in the what are we, the G20?
Yeah.
Are we in G7?
G7.
We're G7. That's nuts. That makes no sense. The fact that that tiny country can be that, and that's in the horrible state that we're in. We could, the fact that we have that level of impact is incredible, and it just goes to show how brilliant and beautiful this country is with its resources and the ability that we have to trade and the water access we have and our oil reserves. Like, we have a lot at our fingertips here. It just needs to be managed properly.
Yep.
So the future is incredibly bright, and that's why we do what we do. That's why we talk about what we need to talk about. If it was a lost cause, we would not be doing a show like this. Like, there was a phrase that Leon, our father-in-law, used to say, who was also our boss. He used to say a phrase, if I'm not talking to you, you should be concerned. And essentially what he's saying by that is, if I'm your boss and your job is of value to me, we'll be in constant communication. Obviously, depending on the access you have to him. But he's essentially saying, if you have access to me and I'm not talking to you, you should be concerned about your future. And what that means is, when things are a lost cause, it's a lost cause. Why even waste the energy? Here, it's not a lost cause. We have a great country in front of us. It just is being misused, it seems like, in almost every area. But if we steward things right, if we get involved, if we get into look at the by-elections, look at our school boards, and you start with the small things and get involved, and brilliant people get involved, incredible changes ahead of us.
Yep. That's well said. We'll continue doing. That's why it's important with the media things that we are doing and others are doing, to supporting. That's honestly why we're so thankful for you guys in this last year, that you guys have been there to support, commenting, liking, downloading, all those things that help this show go forward, because we're building this show. This show is something, this program, whatever you want to call it, is something that's a passion project for us.
Yeah.
We don't really have expectations for it. But we do want to see it continue to grow, because we do think it's important to be able to talk and have these conversations. We do believe in independent media as well, is that we've seen what's happened with legacy media and how that's just gone too corrupted, that you can't rely on it. So you guys supporting and being a part of it, we believe this next year, it's going to be awesome. One thing let's talk about our commitment to them, because we will commit to you as 2025 goes through, is that we'll be on top of all the issues that are going on, giving you our take, our unfiltered take of those political, cultural, social issues that we are dealing with. We're going to be having great guests on coming up in the new year as well, that will be experts in different fields, or people we want to hear at least their opinions on. I'd
like to see this show get to a place where we can have higher levels of communication with the people watching, but also resourcing you as the citizens watching. I'd love it to be a place that after we do a show, that you have all the data and stats and numbers that you can actually begin to kind of go to for stats. And I don't know, this is like I said, it's only been 7 months. It's kind of like starting this machine up to see what we can evolve it into. And communication is everything, getting more information out to the people who need to know what's happening in our country. So we're going to kind of commit to that. I know it's vague, but it's like growth.
No, I think that's exactly what it is, because we don't have, it's growth. We're going to continue pushing harder with this, having more guests, but with your support allows us to do more. So thank you for continuing to do that. I think it's going to be an awesome year, 2025. I'm looking forward to looking back and say, oh, look what happened. Because 2024 we started, and you're getting your feet wet a bit. You're starting to grease the wheels a bit and get moving and get going. Now we're starting to make some good connections, and
we're bumping into, I bumped into someone in the airport, someone I'd never met before, and they said, Jeremy, and they came up to me and they said, thank you for doing CTZN. Don't ever stop. And I was like, it's impacting people, and it's incredible. So every time you guys share it, it's going out to people all around the world, and it's the coolest thing ever. So keep doing that, keep liking, keep subscribing. Make sure you hit that bell notification. That's a big one, because I'd like to do a lot more lives in 2025.
There will be more lives. You know what we'll be looking forward to as well? There will be an election this year. So we will be doing events for that and bringing on special guests and our friends to actually cover all that stuff, which will be awesome.
That'll be fun.
Looking forward to all that jazz. But it's New Year's Day. So I think people should stop listening to us.
Happy New Year. Go enjoy your family. Take some time off. Thank you for joining us today. Share this episode. Would love to hear your favorite episodes.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
I'd love to hear your favorite episodes, which ones you liked, maybe which ones you didn't like. Who knows? I don't care.
Yeah, what do you want to see more of? Let us know what you want to see more of. Is there any guests that we should have and reach out to get onto the show? Help us make 2025 awesome.
Great again.
It's going to be a great year.
Make 2025
great again. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year, guys. Take care. Show goes on.